This man was the strongest player in a summoner game, with countless terrifyingly powerful summoned creatures at his command. But just as he finally cleared the 100th floor of the tower, a feat no one had ever accomplished. Summoning scrolls from the game began to rain down from the sky in the real world. And in front of every single person, an instruction appeared, telling them to tear the scroll. But as people followed the instruction and tore them, countless terrifying monsters suddenly descended upon the real world. This sudden turn of events left me frozen on the spot. Before I could even react, a large truck slammed into me, knocking me out cold. When I woke up again, I discovered 3 years had passed. I learned from my parents that the world had changed completely in those 3 years. The game had become reality. Even my own father had a stone statue summon. Meanwhile, the news on TV was reporting that the world's #1 summoner, Rachel, was looking for Jin Ruid, and the player she mentioned, who was powerful enough to change the world, was none other than me, lying right here in this hospital bed. Of this, I was certain. She was one of the 5 emperors from the game, second in power only to me. Just then, a system window popped up, asking if I wanted to start the tutorial. My mother then warned me not to rush, saying my body was still too weak. I might not have known what was going on with the world, but when it came to the game, I knew it inside and out. Back home, I started digging for information online. From what I could gather, the Tower of Trials and all the summons from the game now existed in reality. In the past 3 years, humanity had figured out how to deal with them. After I finished the tutorial, I found an empty lot. The system had rewarded me with 2 low-level summoning scrolls, so I needed a secluded spot to use them. All I could hope for was to get some decent summons. Even for a legend like me, starting out with garbage summons would be incredibly difficult. But I wasn't holding my breath. After all, the pull rates in this game were absolute garbage. I just hoped I wouldn't get a bottom of the barrel F rank. After a quick prayer, I ripped open the low-level scroll in my hand. The next moment, a bolt of lightning zapped my hand, making me jump. And from it emerged an EX rank Wind Spirit. That confused me. I don't remember there being an EX rank in the game. Wind Spirit seemed incredibly surprised. It's been years for someone to actually be able to summon me. I was shocked. I never knew a summon could actually speak. But after a moment, something clicked. You're Ramu, right? How did you know? Only my master, Jin Ruid, knows my name. Her expression immediately turned to excitement. Don't tell me, are you really him? Then, she grabbed my face and burst into tears. Master, I missed you so much. Looks like this E-rank summon was back by my side. Before, I had used a hidden mechanic to socket her with the best runes, turning her into a top-tier support. I boosted her attack speed to record-breaking levels. She was by my side for a long time when I was just starting out. That's why I've always called her Ramu. But wait, wasn't she deleted from the game for being a bug? The developers removed her for breaking the game balance. And that really ticked me off. I checked her status bar and saw she was in a quarantined state. Ramu explained through her tears that she'd been pulled by a mysterious force into some kind of cage where she was trapped. But when I asked who did it, she just stammered, unable to answer. She said her head starts to pound whenever she tries to remember. She just couldn't give me an answer, and I couldn't help but get annoyed. Hey, you, what exactly do you know? Spit it all out. From what Ramu said, I learned she wasn't the only one who had been quarantined, but that there were 10 of them. That sentence suddenly made me realize something. Back when I used what the system called a glitch, 10 of my summons were tragically deleted. Could it be that they were all reclassified into a brand new rank, X rank, and then isolated? This might mean that they only react to my summoning scrolls. Or maybe they're a reward for me clearing the 100th floor of the tower. Thinking this, I decisively tore open another low-level summoning scroll. But unexpectedly, what appeared was just an ordinary F-rank gorilla. This completely shattered my theory. It also means the summoning scrolls are completely random. But in the future, I can get more high-level scrolls, which will let me once again possess the ridiculously powerful summons that were deleted. Afterwards, I told Ram not to call me by my real name from now on. Because of the 5 emperors, my name is already famous throughout the world. I can't let my identity be exposed now. I have to level up as fast as possible before they find me. Just then, the system suddenly prompted me to begin the next stage. The portal in front of me would let me enter the basic tutorial dungeon. At this moment, I was still a little nervous. After all, this is reality. There are no second chances. Even though I have experience clearing countless dungeons, I still have to be extremely careful. After going in, I found the environment inside was just as eerie as in the game. At the same time, the system notified me that I had successfully entered the beginner dungeon. To engage in dungeon combat, you must form a party with your summons. Each party can have a maximum of 5 summons. And right now, I can only party up with the newly summoned Wind Sprite and the Gorilla. Generally speaking, to increase your chances of clearing a dungeon, it's best to have 5 summons. But based on my experience, these 2 should be enough for the beginner tutorial. When I clicked agree, the Wind Sprite and the Gorilla were summoned to my side at the same time. and the beginner tutorial had me face a level F Grey Wolf. Then, the system automatically generated a shield around me. It seems that, just like in the game, a protective barrier is generated to prioritize protecting the player. However, if you're attacked before the shield is active, you'll really die. The next moment, I ordered the gorilla to launch a preemptive strike. But its speed was just too slow. The Grey Wolf didn't even take it seriously. But I had already anticipated this, so I had the Wind Sprite step up to help. The Wind Sprite only needs to wave her staff once to increase a summon's attack speed. As expected, with her buff, the gorilla's movements became faster, enough to pose a real threat to the Grey Wolf. But watching the Grey Wolf charge, I couldn't help but think, how is this thing so different from the one in the game? It's so huge and imposing. Right now, I can only hope the enhanced gorilla can stop this damn Grey Wolf. But reality wasn't what I expected. In a single clash, the Grey Wolf pinned it to the ground. So I had no choice but to urge the Wind Sprite to continuously wave the staff in her hand. After her constant enhancements, thankfully, it managed to land a hit on the Grey Wolf. Then, as the Wind Sprite increased the intensity of her magic, the gorilla suppressed the ferocious Grey Wolf with extreme speed, and every one of its punches was as fast as lightning. The wolf couldn't parry at all. Just like that, in a short while, it completely killed the Grey Wolf before me. Seeing this, I let out a sigh of relief. Good thing nothing went wrong. The clear reward I got afterwards was 2 low-level strength runes. Meanwhile, somewhere else, my little sister was looking at the 200,000 Korean won she earned today. Absolutely thrilled. 3 years ago, as the world began to change, a brand new profession has appeared, Rune Collector. They enter dungeons to collect runes and sell them to people who need them. By a twist of fate, in a low-level dungeon, Baek Jin-ah obtained a mid-tier summoning scroll and was lucky enough to get a C-rank summon from it. Thanks to this C-rank summon, the Shadow Elf, she's able to earn a stable income by collecting runes. Just then, I called. I heard from Dad that you're a rune merchant now. What do you mean, rune merchant? That makes me sound like some kind of street peddler. I'm a rune collector, you know. Alright, whatever. Do you know where the player center is? With summons and dungeons appearing all over the world, people needed a space to handle summon-related business. And so, player zones were created, where all sorts of things could be handled. My sister then took me to a player center she was familiar with. The whole time, she kept probing me, asking what my 2 summons were like. But I just told her one was F rank and the other was E rank. Then, when I asked, she raised her hand, ready to show me her summon. The next moment, the C rank Shadow Elf was summoned. Seeing that I wasn't very surprised, Jin-ah excitedly told me that summons from C rank and above are extremely rare. So I had to greet it. Then I asked her if it could talk. What is wrong with you? How could a summon possibly talk? There isn't a single talking summon in the entire world. I think you're just trying to pick a fight, aren't you? That suddenly left me a bit stunned. My Ramu and I have been talking to each other ever since we met. This led me to wrongly assume that, as long as it was a humanoid elf, it could talk like him. Then, she led me inside the player center. It was exactly like what I'd seen in the game, which made me really excited. Here, everyone could freely trade summoning scrolls and other things they'd obtained. After a while, I said goodbye to Baek Jin-ah, planning to look around on my own. When I found a place with no one around, I summoned Ramu. Just as he was about to speak, I cut him off. From now on, you are not to speak to me anywhere. The moment you talk, you'll attract people's attention, so you can only talk to me inside a dungeon. Right now, I need some startup capital for trading to help me grow stronger. But this little bit of money I have now is obviously not enough. Just as I was wondering how to earn that startup money, 500,000 suddenly appeared in my account. The text message said it was from my mother. It seems she was worried I didn't have any money to use. For these past 3 years, they have always taken such meticulous care of me. I owe them far too much. I have to get stronger as fast as I can and give my whole family a prosperous life. First, I bought 3 low-level summoning scrolls to make up the 5 needed to enter a dungeon. The first one I got was a common F-rank slime. The second was also a common summon, an F-rank horned butterfly. Luckily, the last one was a little better quality, an E-rank poison lizard. These guys all look like they could be useful, except for that gooey slime. Now, there's only one thing left to do. I have to find a dungeon that's right for me. Back when this was just a mobile game, I could just tap on the screen to enter. But now, it's not that easy. What are real dungeons like? But it was only when I looked for information online that I discovered. Just having summons doesn't qualify you to enter a dungeon. The entrances to dungeons appear randomly, and no matter where they are located, you can tell by the aura they emit. The difficulty of a dungeon used to be judged by its energy, but now the rules have changed. No matter how easy the dungeon is, only those officially registered as players can enter. So I called Xianxia, and he told me the only way to enter a dungeon is by passing a test. This is also a way to further control the number of players. After all, if everyone with a summon wanted to go in and make a quick buck, the whole world would fall into chaos. And from what he said, I also learned that there's a ranking system among the players in this world. It's just that our country, due to 6. If that legendary Kim Rude were to appear, I'm afraid the situation would be different. The next day, I went to the registration site to become a player. After handing in my documents, I learned that out of 1,000 participants, only 50 would be chosen to become players. You can imagine how difficult that would be. A little later, inside a cafe, Chairman Park Chang-sok was sitting and reviewing the registration documents. Just then, an explosion suddenly shattered the wall behind him. Then, a man walked in with his summon. "You killed all my brothers. Yet you look like nothing happened." The next moment, the chairman also summoned his own creature. "You madman, looks like you really want to test me, don't you?" The tension was high between them. It looked like a big fight was about to break out. Meanwhile, I was also sitting in the cafe. I had never seen such a crazy situation in the real world, outside of a game. It caught everyone's attention, since Judge Park Chang-sok had always been successful in dealing with criminals. They weren't too scared. However, everyone still took out their own summons and put up protective shields. I was among them, planning to just watch how the battle unfolded. Just then, Ram seemed to sense something and wanted to talk to me, but I pressed her down with one hand, stopping her. We made a promise not to draw attention to ourselves. "You can't speak out here." At the same time, with a wave of his hand, the man in the suit sent his giant orc summon charging forward, battle axe in hand. To be safe, I decided to hide in the back and watch. The judge, meanwhile, used his flame butterflies to shoot fireballs at the orc. The powerful force instantly covered the entire area in front of them. But when the smoke cleared, the orc was unharmed. Seeing this, the man instantly revealed an arrogant expression, mocking the judge for being so weak. Seeing his own attack fail, Park Chang-sok also realized this was tricky. Meanwhile, hiding in the back, I was completely stunned. This fight is like a child's game. At this rate, the judge is definitely going to lose. And after winning, that man will definitely slaughter the civilians without mercy. So I went up behind him to give him a tip on what to do. I told him the timing for his flame butterfly's skill was wrong. See that one-eyed monster behind the orc? He's casting a fire resistance buff on all the summons. That's why your fire attacks can't possibly hurt them. Every time the one-eyed monster casts its skill, the orc's body turns bright red. That's the sign of the buff. So, you should know what to do next, right? After understanding what I said, the judge immediately had his flame turtle attack. Powerful flames instantly engulfed the orc's body. At the same time, the judge's trench shot vines out from the ground, instantly grabbing the one-eyed monster that was providing the protection. He then commanded his fire-type summons to continue their attack. And just like that, he successfully burned the man's orc and his other summons to ashes. Seeing that the battle was decided, the man frantically put up a protective shield, and then begged the judge to spare his life, saying that he would turn himself in. However, as soon as the words left his mouth, the treant's vines bound him tightly, making him unable to move. The judge's method for dealing with criminals has always been on-the-spot execution. In an instant, a powerful force turned the man into a pool of blood. Seeing this, the people around burst into cheers, all shouting, "Great job, judge." But I was a little stunned. Killing someone is this easy in the world now. And it doesn't even require any legal process. It seems I'll have to be much more careful if I want to survive. Then, he walked over to thank me and told me he was a member of the Player Headquarters Council. "Thanks to you, I was able to subdue that terrorist. I'd like to reward you. May I ask which guild you're from?" But I told him I wasn't an officially registered player with the headquarters. This left him completely shocked. To be able to identify a specific type of summon buff out of thousands at a single glance. And he's not even an official player? At his request, I handed over my ID card. "After we conduct a background check, you will receive your reward according to regulations." "I understand. If that's all, I'll be going." After I left, Park Chang-sok made a phone call, telling the person on the other end to investigate my identity. Afterwards, I went for a walk in the park. Then I bought a donut, as a reward for Ramu for staying quiet. Watching her gobble it down, she just seems so innocent. I've heard that other players sometimes argue with their summons. I'm just glad that a single donut is all it takes to make her this happy. The world has changed more than I ever imagined. It looks like I need to accelerate my plans. Right now, I need to collect summoning scrolls and summon my next creature as soon as possible. The top priority is to get the instructor and the explosion controlling dragon-type mage. Because they are E-rank and D-rank monsters, I can use low-level summoning scrolls to get them. Meanwhile, Park Chang-sok received an intelligence report. The reason I hadn't registered as a player was because I was in a coma for 3 years after a car accident. That was right when the game first merged with reality, a time when accidents were frequent. So, a situation like that isn't unusual. However, the moment he woke up, he submitted an application to register as a player. Hearing this, Park Chang-sok hurriedly searched through the records and found my application. No matter what, I'll be the one to proctor this evaluation. To register as a player right after waking up, means he must possess some incredible power. Just then, I arrived at the player evaluation site as scheduled. To become a player, you have to defeat all the opponents here. But for me, that's still pretty simple. After all, nobody knows this game better than I do. But what I didn't expect was that the examiner for this test was none other than Park Chang-sok, the man from the fight at the cafe yesterday. After explaining the rules of the test, he asked to meet with me privately. As soon as he saw me, he cut right to the chase. He asked if I was a former player of the game. According to him, 70% of the players on the leaderboards were former players. Not wanting to stand out too much, I just told him I'd only played for a year. He got really excited when he heard that, looking convinced that I was an expert from the old game. After composing himself, he told me that because of my help earlier, he had come up with 2 reward options for me. First, using my authority, I can register you as a player immediately. And I can even offer you a position at the headquarters. I wasn't particularly interested in his proposal. After all, I could easily get registered on my own merits. The second option is an immediate reward of 5 million won. At that point, Park Chang-sok was certain I would choose the first option. After all, who could turn down a stable job at the headquarters? But he never expected that the moment he mentioned the second option, I chose the cash without a moment's hesitation. This made him quite helpless. I explained that I didn't plan on working at the headquarters, and that registering as a player was just a matter of time for me. After that, I arrived at the portal for the dungeon assessment. The test required me to clear the Tuesday dungeon as much as possible within 1 day. Just in case, I cast a protective shield on myself the moment I entered. At that moment, the system notified me that the room was filled with poisonous slimes and I had to defeat them to escape. So I decisively ordered Ram to wave his staff and continuously increase the attack speed of the gorilla next to me. The structure of the Tuesday dungeon is like a maze. After you defeat the slimes and look for a way out, you encounter the final boss. This is also where beginners waste time and get lost. But with my experience, finding the exit was a breeze. Besides, those slow-moving slimes couldn't catch up to us at all. Soon, I found the exit gate by taking a shortcut. After I stepped through, the system announced that the dungeon's boss was about to appear. And this was the first time I'd seen a slime king in person, outside of the game. Then, I sent out the gorilla, whose speed had been boosted by Ram, to fight it. In the next moment, it smashed the slime into a pulp with just 1 hit. Since the slime king could still regenerate, the gorilla destroyed its body at an extremely fast speed. This surprised me. I never expected Ram's attack speed boost to be so overpowered. Just an F-rank summon was already this fast. Imagine how astonishing this attack speed would be for other summons. Soon, the system popped up a notification of a successful boss monster kill. The clear time was 5 minutes and 32 seconds, but I still felt it was too slow. If I had my in-game abilities, I could have finished the fight in 1 minute. However, to my surprise, this time actually broke the fastest record in Korea. And I obtained a special achievement, which also unexpectedly got me 3 high-grade summoning scrolls and 2 low-grade magic materials. At the same time, the inspectors observing from the outside were completely stunned. They never thought someone could break a record that had stood for so long. And they even shortened the time by nearly half. Later, when checking my data, they found that I wasn't one of the top rankers, which shocked them even more. The one who broke the record was actually a newcomer. Meanwhile, the higher-ups at headquarters also received this notification. Park Chang-sok determined that I was a national treasure. He ordered that my safety must be guaranteed no matter what, and that I must not be allowed to join another nationality, or our country would face a disaster. Let's register him as a player immediately. What? Aren't you going to let him compete with other players? As everyone knows, clear times are divided into national and global categories. Kang Jian-ho, with 6 minutes and 41 seconds, ranks first in Korea. Rachel, on the other hand, with a time of 2 minutes and 25 seconds, has secured her number 1 position in the world rankings. Now, Baek Jiang-woo has already broken the Korean record. Is there any point in player versus player anymore? I believe that talented people deserve special treatment. A short while later, I walked out of the dungeon, still a bit dazed. I never expected them to be so bad that I could take first place with a time of 5 minutes. Just then, an excited Park Chang-sok ran towards me. Seeing the look on his face, he obviously already knew I had broken the record. After praising me for a moment, he handed me his business card. Looking at the information on it, it was clear they had already successfully registered me as a player. At this moment, Park Chang-sok was wondering how I managed to break the record. This left me at a loss for words for a moment. If I told them everything I know right now, the skill level in Korea would definitely increase dramatically. The question is what would happen next. If I'm lucky, I'll be able to enjoy wealth and glory with the nation's support. On the other hand, I could be dragged away and forced to give up every last bit of information. So I had no choice but to tell him that this was my personal strategy, and I wouldn't be sharing it with anyone. Even though he was desperate to improve South Korea's power level, when it came to a player's private strategy, he knew he couldn't push too hard. And looking at Park Chang-sok, he didn't seem like a bad guy. He had transferred the money he promised me instantly, and he seemed to have a pretty good personality. Plus, he knows where the line is. Maybe I can use the nation's resources to help me grow faster. So, I invited him to a private place to talk. The moment we sat down, Park Chang-sok asked for my help, saying the headquarters needed my expertise. According to the information we've gathered, you were bedridden in a hospital for 3 years. I apologize for looking into you without permission, but a skilled, unregistered player could potentially be a gang member. Now that I've registered, there's no need to investigate me any further, is there? Don't ever do this again. He seemed a little surprised by my reaction. Usually, people get scared when the government gets involved and cooperate as much as possible. But this guy, he wasn't showing any signs of that. He's well aware of his own value. Alright then, let me think if I cooperate with the government. What's in it for me? As for my cooperation, it's a little embarrassing to say, but I'm pretty well connected at headquarters. Managers at headquarters are elected by public vote. So, if I perform well, I'll get a ton of votes and be able to climb even higher in the rankings. Therefore, I can give you all the support that's within my power. The terms were actually pretty good. It would save me a lot of trouble. So I agreed to his request right away, but only for a 1-month term. Since I just registered, I'm going to focus on leveling up for 1 month. And ask for support when I need it. If I'm satisfied with the arrangement, I'll continue to cooperate. This meant he'd have to work for me like a secretary for a month. But after thinking for a moment, he agreed. After all, the potential I'd shown was worth the gamble. The very first thing I had him do was to not leak my record-breaking score. Otherwise, I was afraid I'd be targeted by people with bad intentions. After that, I decided to check out the rewards I got for breaking the record. 3 high-grade summon scrolls and 2 abrasives. The rewards were pretty generous. As much as I wanted to open them right away, the chances of getting a high-grade summon were just too low. Maybe I could sell them for a huge amount of cash. Just then, I remembered the player-exclusive network where everyone can trade freely. Park Chang-sok was the one who installed it and taught me how to use it. When I opened the marketplace, I found that a single high-grade summon scroll was selling for 3 million won. I was completely shocked. This meant that in just 5 minutes, in the dungeon, I had earned a whopping 9 million won. At this rate, I could definitely give my family a life without any worries. Maybe I can sell these 3 high-grade summon scrolls and buy a bunch of low-grade ones to gamble on the chance of getting an EX grade summon. The only thing I didn't get was, with so many low-grade summon scrolls out there, why were they still selling for 5,000 won each? So, I gave my sister a call, planning to ask her what was going on. When I asked, she told me it's because people from the player headquarters buy them all up. The exact reason isn't clear. It might be under the pretext of supporting rankers, or it could be to stabilize the market, since they buy a fixed amount every single day. But I heard they're getting rid of it soon because headquarters doesn't need so many low-grade summoning scrolls anymore. Hearing him say that, it sounded like headquarters had a huge pile of them, so I went to find Park Chang-sok the next day to ask for his help. He looked excited to see that I needed something. I didn't expect you to come looking for me so soon. Did you run into something you need? At that, I told him I needed low-grade summoning scrolls. The more, the better. This surprised him. Don't you need mid-grade or high-grade ones? I can give them to you, but if you're planning on reselling them, that's just not going to work. The market is flooded with them. They won't sell anyway. I plan on hoarding some for myself. It seems you've already got a plan. You really are a different kind of player. A guy like him specifically collecting low-grade summoning scrolls, could you be planning something special? I'll agree to your request, but on one condition. Please give me some useful information, even if it's just a small piece. I'm a council member elected by the people. If anyone finds out that items purchased with tax money, like these summoning scrolls, are being given away freely, I will lose the trust of the public. Therefore, if you can provide me with intel, I'll give you a corresponding number of low-grade summoning scrolls. After all, I need to keep an ace or two up my sleeve, just in case. It seems he thinks the same way I do. He's not just going to hand them over for free. I prefer it this way. This means if I give him valuable intel, he'll treat me accordingly. First, there's a thing called achievement time shortening. Yes, the reward for being ranked number 1 in the country is that for every time you enter a dungeon, you get 3 high-grade summoning scrolls. However, if another player breaks the record, that reward can be obtained again. Therefore, if players take turns extending the time by 1 second, they can maximize the rewards. The nation's power level would increase accordingly. This is actually a method we often use. That's why everyone on the leaderboard has gotten this achievement, even though many players have never received the reward even once. But I don't think that's a big problem. The information I'm about to release is the strategy for the Tuesday dungeon. I knew you were going to announce your own record-breaking method, didn't I? Seeing him so excited, I felt a little helpless. Actually, the method I'm talking about was once used by the 5 emperors. Yes, if you use this method, anyone can clear it in under 3 minutes. However, we need to be clear about the price for this information. Besides the low-grade summoning scrolls we agreed on earlier, I also want 50 high-grade summoning scrolls. This left him completely stunned. That's a massive sum of 150 million. This is quite a bargain. This method doesn't just work on low-level dungeons, it can even be used on high-level ones. This strategy can bring you at least 1 billion in achievement rewards. Alright, if your information is correct, I will immediately transfer 150 million to you, and I can also provide you with 10,000 low-grade summoning scrolls every day. This also means that even if the drop rate is low, I can still summon powerful creatures. Just a moment ago, Park Chang-sok, having received my secret, immediately called a meeting to start the experiment. You all know that the Tuesday dungeon record was broken recently, right? That's right, I heard his name is Baek Jin-woo. And he's a rookie, no less. Actually, it's all thanks to a strategy I managed to get from overseas. So Jin-woo was my first test subject. I see. Is that why you announced that we shouldn't spread the word about this record? So from now on, I will teach you all how to crush the Tuesday dungeon. And the key summon for clearing the dungeon is this guy. Isn't that just a spotted Komodo dragon? What's so special about it? The spotted Komodo dragon is about the size of an adult male. It has decent attack power, and its defense is extremely high. But when you actually try to use it, you'll find it's not easy to raise. Compared to other B-rank summons, its damage and tankiness are nothing special. However, what they don't know is that the spotted Komodo dragon's main food is slimes. Releasing it in the dungeon allows it to hunt slimes, clearing it out quickly. And just like that, every student who got the information cleared the dungeon in just over 5 minutes. I didn't expect the spotted Komodo dragon's appetite to be so good. It took care of all the slime mobs along the way in less than 4 minutes. A few days later, news reports came out one after another that the record for the Tuesday dungeon was being repeatedly broken. This was all credited to Assemblyman Park Chang-sok from the headquarters. Assemblyman Park Chang-sok, for a low price, obtained valuable information from overseas, which happens to confirm this. Baek Jin-woo is an extraordinary individual who far surpasses other players. I've made up my mind. Let's form a team dedicated to serving Jin-woo. As for the members, I'll choose the 3 of you. Meanwhile, I soon received a notification that 150 million won had been transferred to me. I never thought making money could be this easy. Ram couldn't help but exclaim. We could probably buy a lot of honey bread with this much money, right? Also, the 10,000 low-grade summon scrolls he promised me every day arrived on schedule. Since the promise has been kept, it's time for me to fulfill my duty. God, please, let me get a useful summon. I hope this isn't the beginning of my torment. Just as I expected, for a whole hour, over 3,000 scrolls were all F-rank trash summons. Do you really think an EX rank would appear so easily? Even though you pulled me on your first try, that was just pure luck. To summon someone of my level, 100,000 scrolls isn't enough, let alone 10,000. It seems you really know nothing about the summoning system. The number of summoned beasts is exactly 1,000th of the number of players. So with such a huge pool, it's almost impossible to draw one. Although, what is certain is that only you can summon the isolated summons. But there are tens of thousands of types of summons. The quantity of each type is ridiculously large. So, to put it simply, for you to pull an EX rank isolated summon like me again is harder than winning the lottery. But you don't have to worry too much. Once a summon of a certain species has been released, that species will never appear again. Hearing you say that, it still sounds incredibly difficult. Should I try using mid-grade or high-grade summon scrolls? No, that would be even less efficient. Because they're expensive and there are fewer of them in circulation. Looks like I have no other choice but to keep trying to win through sheer numbers. 2 weeks went by just like that. This summoning ritual has left me completely exhausted and on the verge of a breakdown. In these 2 weeks, I've torn through 140,000 low-grade summon scrolls. But still haven't gotten any powerful summons. I even rented a room near the player area. Just to synthesize summoned creatures, I went to the synthesis center in the player area. This place used to be a famous hotel, but now it's been transformed into a facility dedicated to serving players. Afterwards, I went to the specialized area for synthesizing summoned creatures, just like I always do. Today, I was still trying to synthesize my wind spirit, Ramu. After I clicked synthesize, all that trash I summoned with low-level scrolls turned into upgrade fodder for Ramu. Her level has now reached 21, and her intelligence has also increased by 2 points. This left me a bit speechless. I can't believe 140,000 summons only got her to level 21. Seeing this, Ramu asked me if she had become really strong now. In response, I could only tell her she was the best, but inside, I was thinking, if things keep going like this, how will I ever get her to the max level of 100? Just a moment ago, because I've been running out of low-level summon scrolls lately, I asked Park Chang-sok if he could give me the 150 million I had, all converted into summon scrolls. After hearing my request, he immediately told his subordinates to give me a 50% discount on all the low-level summon scrolls they sell me. He was certain I had my reasons for doing this, and he believed that in the near future, I would become this country's hero. Meanwhile, I continued mechanically tearing through low-level summon scrolls in a deserted area. Ramu, on the other hand, was praying beside me, hoping I'd at least hit the pity system and pull a useful summon. Just then, the sound of footsteps caught my attention. A woman in a business suit told me that she was Yuji from headquarters. The purpose of her visit was to inform me about the result of my previous request to headquarters to purchase scrolls. Before I could even react, she started talking on her own. Given your recent performance and contributions, our headquarters will sell them to you at a 50% discount. Additionally, our headquarters has decided to allocate 100 million in funds to support your operations. Hearing these generous terms left me stunned. However, I must emphasize that from this point forward, you need to keep this a secret. And I hope you understand that this is all to maintain the relationship between you and us. Alright, I've said what I needed to say. If you're busy, I'll be leaving now. Watching her leave, it seems the council members at headquarters completely trust me now. So I should hurry up and pull in EX rank summon to repay them properly. But, even though it's easy for me to say that, after all these days, all I've summoned is a bunch of useless fodder. In the end, these useless summons can only become experience points for Ramu. Just as I was about to lose all hope, a bolt of lightning suddenly shot out from a low-level summon scroll. The effect was exactly the same as when Ramu first appeared. Immediately, I received a notification that I had obtained the X-rank summon, Pokerin. This instantly made Ramu and I hug each other in excitement. After so many days of hard work, I finally succeeded. But this is no time to relax. I have to keep pulling while my luck is this good. What I didn't expect was that the very next pull was the EX rank trainer I had been wishing for. I couldn't help but wonder, did the system finally take pity on me and give me a double guarantee? Initially, he's just an E-rank character with weak combat power. That's why very few people bother summoning him. But this guy's true value lies in the fact that he's a total training fanatic and can become stronger through training. His charm skill can overwhelm other summons. On his own, this mentor is weak. His basic skills aren't impressive either. But once he grows and acquires his mentor skill, he can unlock the potential of other summons and greatly accelerate their growth speed. And that is precisely why I was so desperate to summon him. Meanwhile, Ram, who was off to the side, couldn't help but complain, saying she didn't really want to get stronger. Then, I greeted him. Coach, it's been a while. Coach? How do you know my nickname? Could you be Kim Reed? Yes, just as you said. I'm the one you're talking about. Hearing that, he immediately dropped to one knee. Master, this is incredible. I was sealed away for some reason. I never thought I'd be able to see you again. Just then, Bakrion walked over and asked if I was truly his master. This was the first time I'd ever heard him speak. Bakrion the magician. He used to be a D-rank summon. And while he may look cute, he actually possesses incredible explosive firepower. For starters, his first skill allows him to shoot a dragon-shaped flame forward. His second skill is called Devour. Every time he defeats a boss, the skill's attack power increases permanently. However, without the coach's guidance, the Devour skill can't be activated. Seeing the energetic Bakrion in front of me just made me really happy. And I told them not to call me by my old name anymore. From now on, just call me Jinwoo Beck. It's getting late. Let's head home and get some rest for now. When I got home, I was so exhausted from the day that I passed out immediately. Looks like the master used up too much energy summoning us. Then Ram asked, you must be the mentor, right? We've met once, but since I was summoned before you, can I call you number 3? Whatever you want, that doesn't matter to me. What matters is that the three of us are far too weak. We're not nearly strong enough to be of any real help to the master. So even while he's resting, we have to keep training. You're first. Bakryong, sit down now, concentrate and feel your mana. When I wake up later, I'll activate your Devour ability first. And as for you, Ram, you're not getting off easy. First, you need to improve your swing speed. So you'll be doing strength training with me. But I'm a little fairy. Do I really need to do strength training? Of course you do. Start with that pan. You're going to swing it 5,000 times. Meanwhile, somewhere else, the director gave an order. From now on, Park Chang-sok is not to be provided with any more low-rank summon scrolls. This came as a surprise to him. The director is so busy every day. Why would he care about something so minor? On top of that, they're also demanding a detailed report explaining how you've used all the low-rank summon scrolls up until now. It looks like Assemblyman Lim Hee-soo is pulling the strings. The report is already written, but if headquarters stops issuing the scrolls, we'll have no way of getting closer to Jinwoo. Just as Park Chang-sok was trying to figure out what to do, he suddenly got a message from me. In the text, I told him I no longer needed any more low-rank summon scrolls. I've already gotten what I needed. Hearing this, Park Chang-sok breathed a sigh of relief. So, Jinwoo doesn't need them anymore. But now it's time I settled things with that bastard. Just a moment ago, with the weather being so nice, I arrived at an ordinary-looking dungeon. First up are the daily dungeons, where you can gather resources. Next is the Tower of Trials. It's way more difficult than a regular dungeon. The death rate is high, but the rewards are incredible. The third type is the Chaos Demon Dragon Raid, which requires players to team up to clear. Everything else is just a regular dungeon, and that's exactly where I'm headed now. If a dungeon isn't cleared for too long after it appears, the monsters inside will swarm out. After confirming my ID, the administrator let me through. The next thing I knew, I was teleported into the dungeon, dropping in from above. A single glance told me the place was in total chaos. I saw countless warriors in full armor, locked in a brutal fight with orcs. Right now, soldiers on the walls are yelling for everyone to push back the orcs climbing up. I never felt anything like this when I was just playing the game. But now it looks so real. It's obvious these regular soldiers are no match for these giant orcs. When one of their own got injured, the others immediately yelled for a healer to back them up. This scene, it was just like a real war. I immediately activated my protective shield. Then, I instantly released my 5 summons and got ready to fight. I recently acquired a D-rank Golden Fairy and a D-rank Mini Kong. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better tank and healer. Then, I had Lamu wave its staff to give them an attack speed boost. Meanwhile, Pokerin stayed in the back, ready to provide fire support. With everything in place, I immediately sent Mini Kong to charge the orc leader. Clearing an orc dungeon like this is actually simple. All you have to do is defeat their leader. The rest of the grunts were nothing to worry about. Immediately, the orc leader swung its blade. It slammed the weapon down on Mini Kong, but as a D-rank summon with top-tier defense. There's no way it would be defeated that easily. During all this, Lamu kept waving its staff, increasing everyone's attack speed. The next moment, Coach leapt from the wall and vanished. Empowered by Lamu's speed buff, his lightning-fast strike wiped out several orcs. On the other side, the Golden Fairy was on standby, ready to heal any injured allies. With buffs to both attack speed and health, Mini Kong quickly overpowered the orc leader. This completely astonished the soldiers on the wall. Could these be the reinforcements they were waiting for? Meanwhile, Pokerin was chanting a spell, preparing to launch an attack. A moment later, a blast of fire in the shape of a massive dragon shot across the battlefield. Its immense power instantly engulfed the surrounding orcs in a sea of flames. A short while later, with a single slash, Coach took off the orc leader's head. I quickly received a system notification that the dungeon was cleared. This run raised Pokerin's level by 5. Its intelligence went up by 2 points, and Coach also leveled up by 5. It also gained a 1% increase in critical hit rate. My reward was an intermediate summoning scroll worth a whopping 50,001. I can't believe I made that much money in just 2 minutes. Looks like I need to find the next dungeon, level up my summons, and make money at the same time. It's time to change my life for good through non-stop grinding. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Assemblyman Park Chong-sok was slumped listlessly in his office chair. His subordinate nearby couldn't help but marvel. How could you be so confident making a bet like that? Just a little while ago, that whole affair had the two of them arguing in the conference room. I was just making a suggestion. Because this assembly line-looking guy is wasting the budget when you people can't even make one qualified hire. How can you call yourselves a talent management team when you can't even develop any talent? That guy has never produced a single player who made it to the national team. That bastard, I really want to teach him a lesson. But every year, players trained by Lim Hee-soo get selected for the national team. But I can't just sit back and do nothing anymore. What if from now on, the members I train make it to the national team? Are you really that confident? Then how about a bet? The national team has a maximum of 10 spots. Let's see which of us can secure more of those spots. The loser has to resign voluntarily and admit the other person is superior. Oh, and if you back out, you'll be fined 1 billion. Didn't agree to his bet because you actually believe in Baek Jin-woo, did you? I know he's better than the average player, but there's still a huge gap between him and the ranked players. I believe in him. I'm sure that if we give him the right support, he'll definitely bring us some crucial intel. Just then, one of his subordinates burst through the door, rushing in. You know how you asked me to investigate that player who's been solo clearing dozens of D-rank dungeons? Well, the results are in. That player is Baek Jin-woo. How is that possible? He only registered less than a month ago, clearing a D-rank dungeon in under 5 minutes? Hearing this, Park Chong-sok couldn't help but laugh out loud. I told you, didn't I? Baek Jin-woo is the key. This is great. I knew I could trust this guy. I knew I should trust my instincts. My eye for talent is never wrong. Just now, after all these days of grinding, I've already saved up 16 million. This much money, it feels like I'm dreaming. Over the past few days, I've been grinding like a madman, clearing 160 D-rank dungeons. It was all thanks to my 2 new X-rank summons that it was so easy. And this is all the income I got from selling all my intermediate grade summon scrolls. But from now on, I'm going to split my funds into different accounts. One will be for my living expenses. Then I'll open a family account so they can spend freely. I plan to spend the rest on summons. After all, right now, the strength of my summons is what determines my value as a player. As a result of all this dungeoning, everyone has reached level 30. It's time to get some runes to strengthen them. To do that, farming dungeons is the only answer. But to clear daily dungeons quickly, I need a core summon. I wonder if there's anything good for sale on the market. I'm seeing C rank summons go for an average of 20 million, and B ranks are even going for 200 million. That really surprised me. With what I have now, I probably can't even afford one. And there aren't even any A rank or S rank summons listed. But I guess that makes sense. Even with a high grade scroll, the chance of summoning a B rank is only 1%. As I was thinking, an idea suddenly hit me. If that's the case, maybe I can find someone to help me get what I need. Meanwhile, after hearing my request, the subordinate immediately threw open the door to Park Chang-sok's office. Councilman, player Baek Jin-woo has sent a new request. Really? What did he say to you? Did he give you any new intel? Seeing his reaction, the subordinate placed his phone in front of him. On the screen was a long list of summons that I had sent him, all of which I wanted to buy. The sight of it made Park Chang-sok jump. How could there be so many? If headquarters had bought me all this stuff back then, would I still be stuck using a C-rank summon? Did he say what he would tell us if we bought it? He said he would tell us the time attack secrets for the daily dungeons. Not just the Monday or Wednesday dungeons, but all the regular dungeons. Yes, he was being very generous. He's offering to tell us about more than just one dungeon. I understand now. I'll bring this up with the director at headquarters. A little while later, after reporting the matter, he returned to his office, furious. What a foolish old man. To not approve someone with such talent, this is why our country is always at the bottom. Seriously, if only every council member had that kind of passion. What did the director say that made you so angry? He told me to bring him proof first. Before making any requests, I have to present him with a concrete plan. But how can you clear a dungeon without a summon? If this is true, it's absolutely earth-shattering, and headquarters is too stupid to even realize it. Indeed, headquarters is a huge disappointment. Selling such a vast amount of information to headquarters for a mere 1.3 billion. Isn't that a bit too cheap, Assemblyman Park Chang-sok? Why don't I just pay him that money directly? At those words, Park Chang-sok froze on the spot. It was then that he remembered her true identity. She was the fourth granddaughter of Korea's #1 chaebol group. From a young age, she received all sorts of chaebol education from the group. However, she was more interested in players than in management rights. And the player who interested her the most right now was Baek Jin-woo. He possesses so much information that it's hard to believe he's a novice. He's even bold enough to make a deal with the country. That's right. What if I were to set up a solo management agency? I'd make a bold investment in Jin-woo. That way, he could properly utilize that information, and then we'd split the profits evenly. It would be completely different from our current talent management team, and we wouldn't have to worry about money. I don't even know the exact balance in my own account. But first, I need to meet with Baek Jin-woo again. And confirm my thoughts. Just a moment ago, Wuxia invited me to a hotel to discuss the details. I didn't expect them to act on my request so quickly. 300 million won is no small amount. And the place she invited me to was a 5-star hotel. This is the first time I've ever seen such a luxurious hotel with such attentive staff. I had already learned about Wuxia's identity from the news. Just never imagined that a young lady from a chaebol family would actually be working at the player headquarters. When I arrived at the meeting spot, I found she was alone. Seeing this, she told me that she had asked to meet me personally today. It wasn't a decision from headquarters. Unfortunately, it seems it'll be difficult for headquarters to support any of your proposals. Assemblyman Park Chang-sok tried his best. But many people at headquarters are still against it. Hearing this, I wasn't particularly concerned. After all, not having their help wouldn't really affect me. Just then, Wuxia suddenly told me, "I'm planning to establish a personal company dedicated to serving you." I was a bit stunned to hear that. This was obviously good news for me. Without all of headquarters' messy regulations, I could also guarantee her a substantial profit. And as the daughter of a chaebol family, Wuxia would definitely pay a high price for my information. And so, our discussion during the meal went very smoothly. Because of that, Wuxia immediately prepared to take action. Even though I hadn't even signed a contract with her yet, it made me admire the chaebol's ability to get things done. A few days later, my sister was walking around, looking downcast. I wonder what that brother of mine is so busy with. He's not even picking up his phone. And I heard he even bought a big house for himself. Just then, he suddenly saw a beautiful woman walking right in front of him. She was absolutely stunning. That face, I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. After thinking for a moment, he suddenly remembered a post he'd seen on social media. What? I can't believe it, she's Wuxia. What is she doing here? Meanwhile, on the other side, the trainer was training my other summons. They were all so exhausted they could barely move. Just then, he suddenly sensed some movement behind him. "Everyone, be quiet. I think someone's coming." I turned my head and saw it was Wuxia, the one I had arranged to meet. "Hello, everyone. I didn't realize you were working this hard. You've been training from morning until now. It looks like you've put together a really impressive team. However, I've never seen some of these summons before. These are my main summons. I'll introduce you to them later." Alright, well, I won't beat around the bush. I came here with a gift for you. The next moment, a system window popped up in front of me. Accept trade from Wuxia? In this game, players can trade with each other privately, exchanging their own summons. The only condition is that you can't deceive or try to trick the other person. Stop. Otherwise, you could be penalized by the system and electrocuted to death. When I opened the trade window, all the summons I needed were listed right there. So, I immediately clicked the accept button. As soon as the trade was complete, several streams of energy surged into my body. Thank you so much. This is an incredibly precious gift. It's the least I could do. So, shall we get down to business now? In the company I'm putting together, 70% of the shares will go to you. I'll take 25%, and the other 5% will go to Assemblyman Park Chang-sok. The Assemblyman will remain at headquarters and continue to help us from the inside. Also, I'm planning to hire the 2 people from this current headquarters team as employees. I'm offering them triple their salary. I appreciate it, but 70%? Are you sure you want to give me that much? This is how I place my bets. I'm fine with a steady 25%. But in return, I have the means to maximize the value of that share. At that moment, Wuxia thought to herself, the voting rights don't matter. What's important is my relationship with Baek Jin-woo. Now's the time to let go of any other greed and solidify our connection. With such generous terms, there was no way I would refuse. So, I immediately agreed to the partnership. Now that our contract is signed, I look forward to working with you. Just then, the trainer suddenly noticed movement behind them. He saw someone in the bushes, spying on our every move. He instantly vanished and shot towards the bushes. A moment later, the sounds of a scuffle erupted from the bushes. Then, the trainer came out, dragging my little sister, Baek Jin-ah, along with her summon. I was a bit surprised. I had no idea why she was there, eavesdropping on our conversation. A moment ago, trainer had caught Jin-ah eavesdropping, and it was all because she's a huge fan of Wuxia. So she wanted to figure out what was going on between me and her. And she was also extremely excited, eagerly asking how things were going between us. Seeing how desperate she was to know, I decided to tell her everything. So, long story short, you're a top player in the game. So you're the one who broke the dungeon record. I can't believe in a trash game like this, you. We've been hanging out for a year now, and while I've told him other things, I never told him that I'm Kim Reed. It's not that I don't trust him, but it's a precaution. The family that's taken care of me for 3 years. I can't just carelessly drag them into danger. I have to become strong enough to protect them before I can reveal my true identity to anyone else. But brother, why are you only telling me this now? I'll explain to mom and dad later. So keep it a secret for now. At the moment, the trainer is training the other summons. Just then, the trainer's gaze fell upon Gina's C-rank shadow elf beside her. Seeing this, I decided to tell her something she didn't know. To help boost my sister's strength, if you plan on continuing to raise a shadow elf, then you should raise a shadow wolf and use them together. Without a shadow wolf, you won't even reach 10% of your potential efficiency. A shadow wolf? Is there really a summon like that? She immediately pulled out her phone to look up information on the summon. But when Gina saw the shadow wolf's price, she froze on the spot. Brother, you've got to be kidding me, right? A shadow wolf costs 500 million. I couldn't afford that even if I worked for 20 years. Don't worry, I'll take care of it for you within a month. Really? That thing is worth 500 million. I know you're a player now, but it's not easy to earn that much. I should just try and save up for it myself. Relax, I mean what I say. Don't worry about the money. Something feels a little off. A week passed quickly. After joining the company, I prepared to explore the Monday dungeon. This is the equipment you'll be required to wear in the dungeon every day from now on. Mr. Baek Jin-woo, our company's primary business is in the information sector. We currently sell high-definition videos from inside dungeons at a premium price. And this advanced piece of equipment is essential for achieving that goal. Once you put it on, it will record your surroundings in full 3D. It's flexible and lightweight, so you won't feel any discomfort. When I put it on, I realized it really didn't feel any different from normal clothes. It's just that the whole process was so formal, I felt even more pressure than from clearing a dungeon. This is my first time in the Monday dungeon. I'm not sure if the environment will be very dirty. Is that okay? It's fine. We'll just edit things out anyway. Okay. Is it okay if I break the national record right after I go in? No problem. Don't be nervous. Just be casual, like you were back in your gamer days. The national record for the Monday dungeon is 7 minutes. I'm confident I can break it easily. This is a defense-type dungeon. Normally, you have to withstand wave after wave of undead attacks for 30 minutes. Everyone on the world rankings uses a different strategy. Even though it's called a defense dungeon, if you defeat the final boss, the Lich King, the game ends immediately. The best plan right now is to go straight for the boss. It looks like this suit is working well. Then, I opened the system panel to select my summons for battle. I had already organized them into 2 or 3 teams beforehand. And a player can only create 3 types. I've already set up categories for player use and player versus player, as well as functions like daily dungeons. Then, I summoned my squad. It was the trainer and Mini Kong, plus the newly acquired battle sheriff. For support, I had the peacemaker and the golden angel. Just then, a system notification appeared. The evil sorcerer's undead army is approaching. Hold your ground until reinforcements arrive. After that, a 30-minute countdown appeared. This undead army is huge. If these were ordinary summons, they probably wouldn't stand a chance. They couldn't even break through Mini Kong's defense. Then, I watched as Mini Kong grabbed a skeleton soldier's head. Its immense power shattered it completely in a single blow. Mini Kong quickly took care of the surrounding soldiers. The objective now is to quickly take out the boss behind them who's releasing them. Seeing this, I told all my summons to move to higher ground. Hearing this, the trainer nodded, agreeing with my decision. That's my boy. Noticing I was recording, it immediately started expressing itself with body language. As we moved, I saw there were 27 minutes left. I needed to get there within 2 minutes. However, there were still some of those released minions following us closely. But the trainer handled them with ease and style. Meanwhile, Mini Kong, who was covering our rear, picked up a skeleton soldier's skull. The attack it threw next instantly pierced through the enemy's body. Their strength sent a shiver down my spine. I'm so glad they're my summons. After reaching the high ground, I had the battle sheriff take out his Barrett and aim at the boss. The battle sheriff has an ultra-long range and incredible accuracy, but its damage output is so weak that nobody ever used it in the past. But in a low-level Monday dungeon, it's an absolute lifesaver. That's because the Lich King's health isn't very high. Just then, I told the battle sheriff to keep aiming but to hold his fire. Then, I had the peacemaker cast Radiant Blessing for him. The effect of the blessing is simple. It can remove the Lich King's immunity to ranged attacks, the skill known as Dark Shield. Meanwhile, on the other side, the trainer, who was in charge of the skeleton soldiers, was busy mowing them down. And Mini Kong, who was with him, was just as impressive, showing no fear even when surrounded by multiple skeleton soldiers. With the golden angel around, any minor wounds could be healed up quickly. At the same time, on my command, the battle sheriff opened fire on the boss. But the damage it dealt was just pathetic. Each attack only chipped away 2 points of his health. Compared to the others, the damage was truly insignificant. Under normal circumstances, because the sheriff's rune power is weak and its level is low, it would take a very long time to defeat him. This is why everyone says it's inefficient and rarely uses this summon. At this point, Mini Kong, who was under siege, was also looking exhausted, despite being buffed by the Golden Angel's life force. Just then, a skeleton soldier suddenly appeared, taking an unusual route. Mini Kong tried to help but was pinned to the ground by the surrounding skeleton soldiers. But I wasn't the least bit worried. I just stood right where I was. The next moment, the skeleton soldier that was about to charge me was suddenly pierced by a longsword from behind. The trainer has extensive combat experience, so I'm not worried about a sneak attack of this level at all. Besides, I already had the trainer unlock the battle sheriff's potential, giving it a new skill. So now that it has a brand new ultimate skill, it can take out even a top-tier sorcerer in a single shot. In the end, we heard the shot hit the sorcerer's body with perfect accuracy. As he fell, a system notification announced that the dungeon's final boss had been successfully defeated. The clear time was an unprecedented 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Because it broke the Korean record, I received a special achievement. Meanwhile, outside, Lu Jia was waiting for the ranking of my dungeon run. I only gave you that new summon a week ago. Even if you failed to break the record, I would naturally still support you. But can Yu really break the records for all the daily dungeons? Breaking the Tuesday dungeon record is indeed an incredible feat, but he gave no explanation as to how he plans to clear the other dungeons. It's not like Korea hasn't had its share of veteran players over the years. I'm afraid he's just bluffing. It doesn't matter. After all, it's an investment I made with my own money. It's normal for investments to be risky, but you two don't need to worry. I'll make sure both of your careers will be fine. After all, working for me is something others can only dream of. Besides, Yu is hiding more from us that overflowing confidence of his, acting as if this kind of dungeon is nothing to him. Just then, a cheer erupted from the testing room. The record was broken. The record for the Monday dungeon was now 4 minutes and 12 seconds, a full 3 minutes shorter. This is unbelievable. Who on earth could be that strong? When he clicked on the record breaker's profile picture, everyone's breath caught in their throats, and they froze on the spot. Unbelievably, it was Yu. He had broken the record on his very first attempt. At the same time, upon hearing the news, Lu Jia couldn't help but start trembling with excitement. This is great. At least it's a good start. If everything goes smoothly from here on out, my decision will be a massive success. Just moments ago, I cleared the Monday dungeon with a new record. Afterwards, a portal appeared, allowing me to leave. But before I left, there was something else I had to take care of. I manually turned off the body camera I was wearing. From now on, it's time for some combat grinding. In this game, after you complete a daily dungeon, you can activate auto battle mode. This means the more my summons grind, the more the rewards will pile up. When I clicked on auto battle, a virtual character that looked just like me appeared in front of me. Then, I summoned Ramu and put him in charge of farming the Monday dungeon. This confused him. Isn't this the instructor's job? To this, I told him the instructor needed to train others. Do you want to be trained too? After hearing what I said, Ramu remembered the times he was trained by the instructor. That training had left a deep scar on his psyche. Thinking of it, Ramu tearfully begged me to let him farm the dungeon instead. Alright, let's keep moving. During this time, I'll clear all the other daily dungeons, and then I'll let auto battle accumulate the rewards. And I also need to train the rest of my summons. It's an extremely efficient process. Absolutely no time wasted. Then, I prepared to leave the dungeon. It's all up to you now, Ramu. When I stepped out of the portal, I was met with a bewildering sight. Lu Jia and her staff had already rolled out a red carpet right where I was coming out. So, I handed her the clothes I wore for the recording. The video is all saved in here. You don't need anything else besides this, right? Yes. I'll make sure this information doesn't leak. So I told him not to worry about the news. You can spread the news about breaking the record as much as you want. But please, make sure my family is protected. After all, some of the gangs in the country are pretty ruthless. I'm pretty confident in Lu Xia. I believe he's strong enough to guarantee my family's safety. I understand. I'll protect them well, even if it means using my family's power. After that, I continued on to clear the other daily dungeons. And the reason I used the Komodo dragon to clear it was because I was recording a video. This alone was enough to set a world record. If I equipped the spotted Komodo with movement speed runes, and boosted the Wind Falcon's stats to their limit to increase its movement speed, breaking the record would be a piece of cake. If I unlock their potential through training later on, I could even get the time down to 1 minute. After recording, I left the Tuesday dungeon. My next target was the snow-covered Wednesday dungeon. I can get defense runes there. The only problem is the weather here is freezing. It'll seriously slow me down. Then, I opened up my panel to pick the squad for this dungeon run. First up was the B-rank summon, the Wind Falcon, and the C-rank summon Frost Lynx, the B-rank Titanium Golem, and the C-rank Horned Fairy. And finally, the Fire Mage, Bokurin. In this dungeon, it's essential to have summons with cold resistance skills, and the Frost Lynx is one of them. The monsters in this dungeon are yetis with powerful builds, which is why I summoned the Titanium Golem. It can cast a protective shield over an area to keep me from getting hurt. After that, we can use the Wind Falcon's speed buff to move quickly. The Wind Falcon then perched on the Titanium Golem's shoulder. The rest of us stepped onto its hand to climb up to its shoulders. This way, all we had to do was hold on tight to the Titanium Golem to quickly get to our destination. The only thing is, this way of traveling was kind of tortuous for me. It was just like getting carsick, completely unbearable. Just then, the yetis in the distance started throwing giant snowballs at us. But these tickle-like attacks couldn't even scratch the golem's shield. The Titanium Golem makes you feel so safe, it's amazing. It's basically the perfect tank. But this wasn't even its full power. The next moment, the massive golem leapt into the air, disappearing from where it stood, then landed securely, gripping a distant cliff. Taking this route, which only the golem could navigate, would save us a ton of time. Then, I told Bokurin, who was beside me, to get ready. Because the job of taking out the boss was up to him. As soon as I gave the order, the golem launched itself off the cliff face high into the air. A system notification popped up, telling me the Yeti monster ahead was the final boss of this dungeon. This Yeti looked even more ferocious than the regular ones. Was also surrounded by an ice crystal shield. I then had the Horned Fairy, who was waiting on the side, make her move. Under the effect of her skill, the shield in front of the Yeti instantly melted into slush. And that was the perfect moment for Bokurin to unleash his fire skill. The next second, a massive fire dragon soared into the sky. The intense flames from the skill instantly melted all the surrounding ice and snow. Then, the dragon roared forward, incinerating the dungeon's final boss. And just like that, with this series of combos, I successfully cleared the dungeon in 4 minutes and 22 seconds. As expected, this time was more than enough to smash the record on the leaderboard. The only problem was, the whole process made me feel awful. Riding on the golem was so bumpy, I couldn't help but throw up. Soon after, I cleared the Wednesday dungeon with a new record. The news once again spread throughout all of social media, and everyone was talking about it. Who on earth was this guy named Zi Zhenyu, to be able to continuously break the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday records? This series of amazing feats naturally caught the nation's attention, and they began an all-out investigation into my identity. Just a moment ago, after breaking record after record, I had become a topic of widespread discussion for everyone. All of social media was filled with speculation about my strength. Naturally, this stream of victory reports also caught the attention of the higher-ups at player headquarters. It seems this Zi Zhenyu is the person that Councilman Park Chang-sok mentioned before. The one who said he'd give us information if we gave him a summon. That idea was opposed by Lim Hee-soo, wasn't it? Yes. Because at the time, he said that if we didn't provide him with the information first, he wouldn't give us the money. But it seems that information was real. What a pity. However, Councilman Lim Hee-soo did have a point at the time. But in politics, the most important thing is the result. If we had actually supported Zi Zhenyu, we would have not only gained public praise, but also won more votes. Lim Hee-soo has completely lost his touch, kicking away a blessing that rolled right up to his feet. Secretary, contact that player named Bai Zhenyu for me again. No matter what, we must win him over to our side. Meanwhile, on the other side, I had already arrived at the Thursday dungeon. The Monday and Wednesday dungeons provide runes, while the Tuesday dungeon provides grindstones. And the Thursday dungeon, which I'm about to conquer now, drops skill books. Although those skill books don't include a summon's unique skills, or those potential skills that only a trainer can unlock, they sometimes drop some useful skills, so it's still worth a try. Thanks to this, I don't have to go running to the weekly dungeon anymore. Because both the Sunday and Thursday dungeons drop skill books, but the Thursday dungeon is much easier. But when I actually started the conquest, I found it wasn't as simple as I had imagined. Because in this dungeon, the moment you enter, you are immediately attacked by the boss monster, and this dungeon's boss has extremely high defense. My plan is to use the B-rank White Wolf, combined with a defense-lowering skill, to clear it. I then opened the system panel and selected the summon squad to dispatch. Also joining the fight this time was the titanium golem that I had used to conquer the Thursday dungeon before. Then, I turned off the camera I was wearing. I can't put this video online for sale. After all, with me using such powerful summons, there's nothing others can learn from it. It's like someone taking caviar out of the fridge and directly entering a cooking competition. I just have to tell them to use the White Wolf to lower its defense and then use a high damage combo to defeat it. That's not to say there's absolutely no viable way to break the record. Although this guy is extremely tough, you just have to attack the monster's head. Its weak point is right there, and that's why I chose the titanium golem. It would be a bit easier to make up for the difference in size. Then, before the battle, I had the wind. Falcon increase its movement speed, and then Ram could enhance its sensory speed. With the two of them, it's more than enough to compensate for the titanium golem's clumsy body. I then had the others aim for the boss's head and prepare to attack. The next moment, the two giants struck out together, clashing with each other. Seizing this opportunity, the instructor climbed up its arm to its shoulder. Upon reaching the attack point, the instructor drew his own weapon. With a flash of his sword, the powerful attack instantly decapitated the giant boss. At the same time, the fire mage, Pak Ryong, was charging up his fire skill. Immediately, a flame transformed into a giant dragon and rushed toward the boss. When the smoke cleared, the boss had been slain, with only its battered body remaining. This run's clear time was 5 minutes and 10 seconds, a full minute faster than the top player on the leaderboard. The strength this trainer has shown is clearly overwhelming. It seems I'll have to leave him here. I ordered the others to continue on auto battle. Besides, Pak Ryong's strength is formidable as well. If used correctly, he can kill the boss in one hit. If I were to leave, wouldn't the two of them finish it on auto battle in under 10 seconds? After I instructed them to continue the raid, I stepped out of the portal. A moment later, a man approached me. He asked if I was the player Zi Zhenyu. We're from player headquarters. I'm the director's exclusive secretary. Player Zi Zhenyu, we have reviewed the proposal you submitted last time. Since you've already produced results, it's only natural that before he could finish his sentence, I cut him off. You don't need to say any more, because right now, I no longer need any investment from headquarters. This decisive act left the two secretaries who had come to recruit me stunned in place. Because I knew exactly what their little game was. Before, when I needed help, they ignored me. Now that my records are starting to dominate the leaderboards, they come trying to cozy up to me. In contrast, Lu Xia willingly provided everything I needed to support me. Therefore, I naturally wouldn't cooperate with them. If you have something to say, go talk to my newly signed business partner, Lu Xia. After dealing with that matter, I arrived at a relatively empty house. The Friday dungeon is different from the ones I've cleared so far. Other dungeons focus on having summons kill monsters, but in this one, players must personally run through it to pass. I should start practicing now and get ready. When I clicked summon, a massive B-rank wyvern appeared before me. Just like that, I was riding on its back, high up in the sky. Although the shield around me could block the damage from a fall, the scene was still quite terrifying. After getting the hang of it for a moment, I found this was much more fun than I had imagined. So, a short while later, I was piloting it, preparing to head for the East Sea. A few days later, I arrived at an island. Just then, the instructor exclaimed excitedly, "You learn to fly so incredibly fast. Even I feel ashamed in comparison. Even we struggled a lot the first time we rode a wyvern." Now that I think about it, those two did ride dragons in the game. And dolphins, too, as expected of our master Jin Rude. He's truly amazing. Alright. Next up is the aerial dolphin style gliding practice, right? For experienced people like you, learning is fastest. I'm counting on you to teach me. After these few days of practice, I successfully entered the Friday dungeon. This is not only a dungeon where special runes drop, but it's also the place where I'll obtain the God of Time attack title. I then summoned the Wind Falcon to increase my movement speed. When the 10-second countdown ends, I'll have to sprint with all my might. When the starting whistle blew, I immediately began running toward the destination. At the same time, I had to be careful to dodge the attacks being shot from a distance. And I had to follow the designated route and avoid stepping on the red blocks. This is definitely much more fun than just controlling a character's movement in a game. Now it's time to enter the first hidden route. There's a dead end ahead. And I need to enter the sea. Normally, you'd have to swim across this stretch of water. But I had other options. I immediately summoned the C-rank dolphin I had obtained earlier. By using the dolphin to move underwater, I could bypass all the obstacles above. After I finished dodging the obstacles in the water, I had the dolphin leap into the air. Then I summoned a flying dragon and landed steadily on its body. Now I just need to fly past the rest of the obstacles to clear the stage. After all my flight practice these past few days, I quickly maneuvered it to the finish line, and soon after, cleared the dungeon with a time of 2 minutes and 12 seconds. A time of arrival at the destination, clearing the dungeon. Congratulations, you have successfully broken the national record. Special achievement unlocked. After completing the Friday dungeon, the next target is the Saturday dungeon. This dungeon doesn't have any special requirements. Just eliminate all the monsters inside to clear it. With the help of Pokeron's wide-range fire attacks, I quickly finished with a record-breaking time of 3 minutes and 40 seconds. The Sunday dungeon that followed wasn't difficult either. I cleared it in record-breaking fashion as well. All of this seamless coordination was thanks to the instructor's long-term training. The clear time for the Sunday dungeon was 13 minutes and 20 seconds. Finally, I've cleared all the daily dungeons. For now, I need to increase my strength as quickly as possible. Go clear high-level dungeons, and obtain suitable runes and skills. Only when I'm strong enough can I challenge the Tower of Trials, a place made for the strong. At this rate, 2 years should be enough time. But first, something else is more important. What should I do with all these materials I got from clearing the dungeons? And I also have some high-level summon scrolls. Meanwhile, in Lu Ziya's office, she was looking at her phone and discovered that I was all over today's headlines. Breaking the records for all the daily dungeons. The entire world is going crazy for Zi Zhenyu. Then again, with the strength he's shown, it's not surprising he could clear all the daily dungeons in a week. She then asked Kim Byung-jin how the video editing was coming along. I've just finished the final cut. But even watching it on video, I can't believe what I'm seeing. Do you guys want to see it? As per Mr. Zi Zhenyu's request, I removed the content from the Thursday and Sunday dungeons. The screen then showed my process of clearing the Friday dungeon. His strategy and execution are on another level. To be honest, this is like a circus performance. Even if you tried to film it intentionally, you couldn't produce such a perfect movie. Even if we sold these recordings, I'm afraid people would just curse us for being unable to replicate any of it. And that just proves how incredible Zi Zhenyu is. After a moment of thought, Lu Ziya stood up and said, "Before we release the recordings, buy up every summon that appeared in the video." I understand. You're trying to corner the market in advance, right? Exactly right. We must use this information to maximize our profits. Understood. I'll buy as much as I can within the current budget. Don't worry about the budget. Just buy everything. If the funds aren't enough, apply for a loan in my personal name. When Lu Ziya went to the bank to get the loan, she even startled the bank president. Because of her status, all the banks gave her the highest possible credit line without hesitation. Soon, Lu Ziya got the loan and bought all the summons. And now, it's time to sell this video intelligence. Except for the Thursday and Sunday dungeons, which require 10 million won. The selling price for all the other daily dungeons is as high as 100 million won. And a non-disclosure agreement also needs to be signed. Boss, are we really going to be okay selling it at such a low price? Strategy information is just bait to get them to buy the summons. Besides, it's beneficial for the country's progress. It doesn't matter that our purchase price was low, representative. We'll price the C-rank summons we acquired at 200 million. And the B-rank summons at 1 billion, representative. But that's 10 times the current market price. Isn't that too greedy? As information spreads, demand for these specific summons will naturally rise. Since we control the vast majority of the supply, they have no other choice now. They can only buy from us. It's time to reap the returns on my investment in Baek Jinwoo. A few days later, to their surprise, the company's current revenue had reached 377 billion Korean won. We only spent 1.3 billion on the summons for Baek Jinwoo. I never thought it would turn out like this. The immense sum of money was hard to believe, even for someone like Ryuji Ah, who came from a chaebol family. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. Now that the business model has been proven, let's start the real investment. First, how about we buy a building? A few days later, I sold off all the loot I'd gathered from clearing dungeons these past few days. Seeing a balance of 54 million Korean won on my phone made me so happy. I made 54 million Korean won in just 1 week by selling high-grade scrolls. I couldn't help but dream about how many cream puffs I could buy with this money. Just then, Ram asked me if I wanted to try drawing for an EX rank summon again. Hearing him say that brought back painful memories. I practically had a mental breakdown tearing open all those summoning scrolls back then. In the end, most of them were just useless, low-rank trash. I don't want to try drawing anymore. It's time to train the summons I already have instead of trying to get new ones. Oh, right, I should sell the other things I got from the dungeon, too. Come to think of it, Baek Jin-ah has been selling runes. I should just give everything to her to handle. That way, we can split the profits. I heard that while I was gone, she even helped pay for part of my hospital bill.